Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Heroes for Sale, and this week we're thinking small with Ant-Man opening at the cinema. And while we haven't quite got the technology to shrink the studio, we are going to focus on very small pleasures from the worlds of micro toys to collectible Ant-Man comics and figures. And today we're going to open up with Dave Ross, the toy valuer and appraiser and dealer amongst other things, isn't that right, Dave? Right, yeah. Who's brought us in a nice range of small toy lines. And probably the most famous one has always got to be Micro Machines.
Yeah, let's get straight into it with Micro Machines. This was a toy line made by Galoob, ran from 1986 to 2006, had a very long life.
Yeah, so good couple of decades.
You must remember in the 80s, it was ultra popular.
Well, they were massive in the playground for people our age, I think, weren't they? You'd be able to, used to swap them a bit and all that.
That's the good thing with Micro Machines. They were good, like you say, you could trade them up, or you could get them into all them hard to reach areas, couldn't you? Because they were so small. So the play value was great with these things, I thought.
Yeah, I remember. And then there was a computer game as well that used to drive around the track and a snooker table and fall into the
Micro Machines had quite a few computer games actually. Yeah, they were really popular as well, weren't they?
It was a phenomenon, really, amongst other things. And one of the things most people do remember though is the advert for Micro Machines
with the fast talking guy.
Yeah, didn't he have like the world record?
He was the Guinness Book of Record. He was the fastest speaker at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was looking into it before, and it was John Mashita Jr.
Is that the guy's name?
Yeah, and there was one thing about the advert, wasn't it? It was like the statement at the end of it, which was...
Yeah, that's what most people remember. If it doesn't say Micro Machines, then it's not the real thing. Exactly, yeah. That's what most people remember.
Yeah, but I mean, one thing that I do also recall is that they kind of oversaturated the market towards the end, because I remember thinking, I've opened up this box, I've got God knows how many things, like a DeLorean, and they even do Star Wars.
They had a lot of licensed properties towards the end, and they were taken over by Hasbro in '99. And after that,
Evil Hasbro,
yes.
Yeah, they buy up all the old toy lines and did they reissue?
They rebranded it. Yeah, we've got a box there with the rebrand on. Yeah. But it never took off. No. And
in terms of collectible value, I mean, obviously, I think one of the things about the appeal of small toy lines is, like you say, you hinted at it before, is that, you know, for kids you can really pick them up and do all kinds of wondrous things and take them into school and have them in your pocket, and you know, they can be hidden from teachers.
Very collectible, highly collectible things.
Little tiny, minute
doesn't cost a lot of money to get into this stuff as well, and even now, 20 years on, they're not as expensive as what you might think. It's quite hard to find complete because you've got a lot of little components, but once you get one complete, like I say, even a complete one doesn't run you much.
Yeah, because I do remember having, like I say, a Back to the Future DeLorean, which was like a prize.
Well, the DeLorean, some of the more licensed stuff. Well, last DeLorean, I've seen DeLoreans go up to £20 just for that one. You know, we're talking a tiny little car for £20. So yeah, that's one of the exceptions to the rule with Micro Machines.
So there are collectors out there of Micro Machines.
Yeah, there will be. Like I say, a lot of licensed problems. They've done Aliens, they've done Predator, Back to the Future, like you say, Starship Troopers, and obviously Star Wars.
Yeah, so going from the microverse into space, and one of the other things you can see that you've brought for us today, which is a sweet spot for many people, is the Manta Force play set.
Well, yeah, if you grew up in England, I think you'll remember this stuff. A lot of people have got fond memories of this stuff. A little bit obscure. If you came from another country, you're not going to remember this. This was brought to us by an English company, Bluebird, and they came out in '87. There was a short-lived comic run in Eagle Comics as well.
Yeah, which has got a little bit of a local tie-in, because I think that was started in Southport.
That's right,
Eagle Comics. But it's very bright, isn't it? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about this ship and what it means to the...
Well, this is the Red Venom. This is the second ship they came out with. And the great thing about this was it was basically an entire world in one. You could transform the whole ship. It all came apart, and you had these tiny little figures with it. Again, back to play value. They had rockets that fired, lots of little compartments and things that we could open up.
Yeah, brilliant. And of course, Bluebird, you mentioned, with the manufacturers, and they had a little tie-in with some other small toys, which Mighty Max, which is another big one.
Well, Bluebird brought us, in the UK, they brought us Mighty Max, which is very similar to Polly Pockets. But
one for the girls there.
One for the girls, yeah. This is the male version of
one
Polly
that you could
Pockets.
Easily hide from your sister and have a little bit of fun with.
They were little compacts, weren't they, the Polly Pockets, and they opened up into a whole little play world. And the same with the Mighty Max, opened it up, whole little play world. Mighty Max was incredibly popular in the early 90s. Again, spawned a TV show, had its own cartoon. Super Nintendo game again, and a Mega Drive game for the Mighty Max stuff.
Yeah, the cartoon was popular, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing these in, Dave. Do you think these are worth getting into if you're a collector and, you know, you're thinking of expanding your...
In terms of collectability and value, not so much. A lot of this stuff, I mean, you can even get one of these complete boxed from 1988. £40, but in the box, I think they cost £18 to £20 when they came out back in the day. So good value and good collectibles for people to buy.
Yeah, good. And also good fun for Ant-Man if you could shrink down and jump in and have a little play around.
I think you'd have a will.
Great. Well, next we're going to go over to Collectable Comics section, where Lucy from Level Up is going to give us our first appearance comics on Ant-Man, Hank Pym and Scott Lang.
Hello and welcome to Bay TV's Heroes for Sale. I'm Lucy Myatt and you're in my shop Level Up at the moment in the heart of Liverpool. Today I'm talking to you about Ant-Man and all the glory that it is with the upcoming film coming out. Everyone's always looking to upgrade their collection and get more investable comics. Well, I'm here to talk about the ones that are in Ant-Man. First off, we're obviously going to start off with the most famous, Hank Pym. Hank Pym first appeared in Tales to Astonish issue 27 in 1962 as Hank Pym, but didn't actually appear until Ant-Man until later on in the year in Tales to Astonish issue 35. Hank Pym has also taken on many other costumes and code names, including being the first appearance for Yellow Jacket, which was in Avengers 59 in 1968. Let's not forget Janet Van Dyne, who was also known as the Wasp and Hank Pym's love interest, who first appeared in Tales to Astonish 44 in 1963. But as awesome as these characters are, and they are in the film, that is not what the film is about. The film is the origin story for the second Ant-Man, Scott Lang. Scott Lang made his first debut in Avengers 181 in 1979 and only took him 1 month to appear as the second Ant-Man in Marvel Premiere issue 47 in the same year. Now don't get me wrong, there is a lot more collectible comics to get in the Ant-Man series. It's a great story and a great collection that will make any other collection richer anyway. But I'm not going to spoil the film for you, I'm not going to ruin all the fun for you, I'm just here to help you out along the way. I hope you enjoy these comics and I hope they've helped you out.
Thanks, Lucy, for that look into Ant-Man comics. Now we're back here with Aubrey in the studio for the Spandex supplement. And obviously Ant-Man's out at the cinema, but there's been quite a big to-do at San Diego Comic-Con with some movie releases. I mean, who stole the show, do you think?
It's split opinions, isn't it? You've got Deadpool was a great trailer. The response to that was really good. People want Deadpool to be good. I think there's a feel-good factor, and also people want to see an R-rated superhero movie.
It can take it into realms that, you know, good comic readers really want to see. Go dark and graphic, really.
They've been doing an amazing PR campaign, which they needed to do. You know, like the Instagram tweets and the Twitter things that they're putting out there.
Some might
really
say
good.
they needed to do it for Ryan Reynolds, really.
Yeah, to redeem him. And he kind of sees, he's messed up twice in his words. He even said subtly in the panel, you know, like doing a proper superhero movie or something along those lines. So yeah, so again, TJ Miller from Silicon Valley looks like he's going to be the scene stealer, and he looks like he's going to be the new breakout comedian, almost like a Zach Galifianakis type, because he's so funny in the trailer.
Yeah, he's playing Weasel.
Yeah, he's playing Weasel.
It's all the backstory of Deadpool, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
and he's relatively new character, Weasel, isn't he? He's like one of the latest runs in the last couple of years, but they've put him in there and he perfectly suits it. Anyone who watches Silicon Valley knows that he can do that really well.
I think what I read from keeping up to speed on Comic-Con was that it was a welcome break to almost like a somber tone of the DC trailers, because of course we also saw Superman versus Batman, which is exciting, but it is a bit kind of like, again, is there going to be any comic relief in that movie?
No, it doesn't look it, does it? Because even like the most comic reliefy bit of the trailer is Heisenberg as a Luthor shouting, the red capes are coming, in like a kind of really odd tone, and it looks very pious, it looks very serious. Hopefully it's entertaining. I'm a huge Batman fan, so I want to like it. I'm kind of on the fence after seeing the trailer. It
made me want to try and reduce the contrast and the brightness on my screen, I'm not going to lie.
It does. It looks so Zack Snyder's washed out.
Yeah.
And it definitely looks like they're continuing the Nolan verse, like they're really serious doing them. And I don't know whether when you start throwing in Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Doomsday, can they really be done that serious? But who knows?
Yeah, one to watch out for.
Yeah.
And also the other big news was that Ben Affleck's going to get a go at writing and directing a Batman movie.
Yeah, and I'm happier about that. I think behind the camera, he takes a lot of stick, and I actually quite like him as an actor, but behind the camera, he's got a brilliant pedigree.
With Argo.
Yeah, Gone Baby Gone was his first one, which he didn't put himself in, he put his brother in, and that's a fantastically underrated film. And then The Town's a really good film, Argo's great. He also wrote Gone Girl, he co-wrote Gone Girl, and he co-wrote, obviously, Good Will Hunting. So he's got a good pedigree behind the camera, and I'd like to see, hopefully they take it away from that huge world and they do a Batman movie, like an aging Batman, which we haven't seen before, and do it serious but not too world building.
Almost building on the Frank Miller
Yeah, the
view of
Dark Knight
Batman.
Returns. I think that's what they're referencing anyway. I think that's what they're going to go for.
So really, it was DC's chance to steal the show, wasn't it? Because Marvel Studios weren't even representing themselves as a movie.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. I thought Marvel would have at least something. They'd try and swoop in and steal the thunder. I don't know whether that was Disney saying, let this be Star Wars', because obviously Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel now. But you had elements of Marvel because Fox were there with their Marvel films, so obviously Deadpool and X-Men Apocalypse and Fantastic Four. But no one really's talking about them. They didn't really steal the show. You've seen a lot of those trailers before. So it was DC's chance. And I think Suicide Squad was what impressed a lot of people. Like the whole squad turned up, the trailer.
It's very visually, it's got a great visual impact to Suicide Squad. I think that's one of the things that leaps off the
Yeah, it does. And it looks less, even though it looks dark and serious, it looks less dark and serious than Batman Superman, and it looks more like a straight-up action movie. So you kind of know what you're gonna. I don't really know what I'm gonna get when I go to see Batman Superman. Whereas I know it's gonna be an action movie. Like if you saw David Ayer's film beforehand, Fury, it was a straight-up tank war action movie.
Like
so
it's going to be a Dirty Dozen, but with your favourite kind of supervillains.
Yeah, and then Will Smith
in there. Yeah.
Will Smith. That's the one thing I'm worried about. Will Smith kind of seems to be the straightest and the most normal of the villains, so he's kind of not let himself go fully evil or fully dark. Yeah. So from the trailer, so hopefully he does in the movie.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much for coming in and bringing us up to speed on San Diego Comic-Con news. We're going to be back after the break with the second part of Heroes for Sale. Welcome back to Heroes for Sale. This is the part of the show that we like to call Between the Panels, where we introduce some learned guests who are very well-mannered and polite in the world of comics, which includes Aubrey and also Ilan here. And we just wanted to open up. Obviously, Ilan, you're organising the Liverpool Horror Fest, amongst other things. How's that going?
It's going well. The festival, I don't know if it's mentioned, it's on the 15th of August.
At the Casimir.
At the Casimir, yes, before they sell it off and make it into a student building, disappointingly. But yeah, it's going to be in there. We've already had Barbie Wilde, the Cenobite from Hellraiser. She's going to be there, and Ramsey Campbell, big Liverpool horror author. He's very interested in coming along as well. So loads of things are kind of coming together already.
And people can check that out on the Facebook page, Liverpool Horror Festival.
Facebook.com/, Liverpool Horror Fest.
And we're going to do a whole preview on that next episode, Liverpool Horror Festival. And Aubrey, have you been up to much apart from staying tuned into the comics?
No, it's
news
just
junkie
jacked into the Matrix. Just
comics.
pure feed comics into the back of my head.
And of course, we all went to see Ant-Man last week.
I broke the feed out the back.
Just
it's a venture out the house once.
And we had mixed reviews, didn't we? Because, I mean, as a Marvel movie, for me, it kind of stands out as another good step, like Guardians of the Galaxy was, away from many normal mainstream fans' expectations into a totally new direction.
Yeah, I thought I was optimistic going in, but didn't expect it to be great. And I thought it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it did some stuff that you've not seen before because it played with the fact that it's a shrinking hero. I think it makes you believe that a man with those powers actually could be of asset or value. And it does some really creative sequences.
One of the main things is that he's the most human character. Yet people talk about Iron Man and people can relate to him because he is just an average man in a suit, or he's just a human in a suit, no superpowers, albeit a millionaire and tech wizard. Whereas Scott Lang in this film, he is just your kind of average Joe, so you can root for him a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. It's the most Peter Parker before they've done Peter Parker of the Marvel characters, isn't he? He's your entry point into Marvel now. Yeah. And I think that's how, from what I've read going forward about Civil War and stuff, that's how they're going to use him. They're going to use him to bring over the normal people, and he's like the representative of the normal characters. And
Ilan, you had a few mixed emotions about it, didn't you? When we came off the cinema, we were kind of gushing about it. One emotion, which was?
It's indefinable. But no, you know what? Looking back on it, I thought it was an okay film. It was an okay film. I just felt that because so many people was praising it at the time, I just couldn't see it as being that good a film. It was an okay film, but for a Marvel film, I was expecting more, even though I was trying to have low expectations.
Yeah. It's always good to go with low expectations because then they can be, bettered, can't they?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I really liked about it is it was a heist movie, and for me, it was a good heist movie. I'm a big fan. It's one of my favourite genres. And the whole idea of Scott Lang teaming up with Hank Pym, that was a nice surprise. Michael Douglas was great as the original Ant-Man.
I thought he was great in it. I thought the heist element was one of the strongest parts of it. Like, they're putting the team together, he goes back and gets his criminal crew, and I thought they were very funny. And it falls apart if you are going to have that stringent viewpoint. It's not going to be to everyone's taste. There's some people I would never recommend it to, because it's a combination of a superhero movie or even a Marvel movie, which is becoming an adjective in itself, and a heist movie. They don't stand up to scrutiny. If you're going to be the most stringent people with the magnifying glass on the plot, you're going to have to accept certain tropes of the genre. But it wasn't ridiculous. I didn't think it was stupid.
It was very funny as well, wasn't it? That was one of the main best things about it. Was a great sense of humour, and even though sometimes it looked a little bit laboured, Paul Rudd is very watchable. So some of his lines are almost sitcom related, but
Paul Rudd's playing Paul Rudd. It's like he does it really well. I'm not criticising how Paul Rudd acts or how he says his lines, but he was just playing his normal characters.
With a better six-pack than he's ever had.
Yes, that was kind
spoilers.
of the big difference there.
I mean, we do have to point out, we're probably going to, as we keep talking about this, introduce a few spoilers. If you haven't seen this at home, you might want to kind of mute or until you come back and have seen the film. But the great...
Turn the volume back up after Ilan's through the table. You're pretty much safe then.
One of the great scenes for me was when he was fighting Falcon. That was, was a brilliant moment.
Again, because you sort of been hinted at in the trailers and stuff, but not confirmed. There's that moment in the cinema, and we're watching it with a bunch of geeks opening night, so obviously it was the target audience for it. But when it flies over the old Stark building and you see it's got the big A on top, and you realise, that's where the new Avengers are. And
it's a nice nod, isn't it? Because it's just where Avengers Age of Ultron is finished. Just left off.
It kind of picks up that continuity, and you get Falcon, who was underused in Avengers Age of Ultron, so he's actually back in it. And I thought that was a really cool scene. I really enjoyed that scene. It made sense. I can see Ilan giving me really dead eyes
But it was great because he was almost... What was good about it was it gave that idea of he is just an everyman, because Ant-Man was there. He's got this amazing suit now, and he's kind of beating Falcon up in many ways, but apologising to him while he's doing it. I'm sorry for this, booting him around the head. I mean, what else was it that didn't work for you? Was it the story? Was it...
Yeah, there was things that I was very aware that I was being fed scenes and I was being fed moments that were supposed to make me go, oh, I love that. But in the storyline, it's a strange moment to kind of to script into it, unless, again, it was just something they said, right, we need to have a fight between two of the Avengers, well, Ant-Man and one of the Avengers. It's like, right, well, let's get Falcon, he hasn't done anything yet. And then everyone, when they saw him, because I was in the cinema and I felt the vibe, I felt everyone going, oh, like that. And I was like, it's just Falcon. And there's no reason for him to be in the location that he was. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at giving out spoilers, so I'm kind of being vague. But he wasn't supposed to be at the Avengers.
That's the Avengers.
Yeah, but there was no point in him necessarily. It was a weak reason to send Ant-Man to the fight, and it was only there because that whole scene happened because we want to get Falcon and Ant-Man to fight.
We haven't got a lot of time left. The other thing I think people should go and see it for, which is totally different to any other Marvel film, was when he goes into the microverse, so he shrinks down to subatomic level. And that's just some really trippy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
And it opens up the opportunity for more Kirby-esque stuff, and I think they're going to explore that with Doctor Strange, which is coming. And it's opening up that world of very different visuals and very different motifs, which you've not seen before in Iron Man or in Hulk or anything. So I thought, it was the end went a bit weird, didn't it?
Yeah,
it's cool.
Very weird.
I do have to praise, though, is how they made Michael Douglas look at the beginning of the film as well, because obviously it wasn't that long ago that they made Tron, and obviously the technology to make people look younger was okay in that, but that was brilliant, making Michael Douglas, the young Michael Douglas was
even a Terminator
phenomenal.
Genesis from the joint, they're using the young Arnie.
That's right. I mean, we can do this now, can't we? And maybe we'll come back when we're younger, but we do have to go because we're going to run out of time on that. Mixed reviews there for Ant-Man. We're going to go over to Dave Johnson and Elliot Chinnock now, who are going to take us into the world of articulated comic book art. Bit of a tongue twister there. It's taking photos using action figures. Okay, welcome back to this section of the show, which is brand new, which is all about articulated comic book art. Careful how you say that. But in Liverpool, we've got the UK's #1 and #2 comic book art creators. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
A.C.B.A, as you said, is articulated comic book art. So all it is creating tangible scenes with action figures that you may see in comics, or could be inspired from movies, or even your own ideas.
Visually, very visually creative. When you see the images, they look like real comics have been drawn, but you can see that they're your own figures. I'm always surprised by what you guys come up with. I mean, are there any kind of secrets to what it is or what the culture is? How did it come about as well?
Well, it started in New York, actually, and I think it was just a bit of an outlet for people who were collecting action figures to then, do something with them instead of just sticking them on a shelf. And, it's making artwork with it, it's photography.
It's a good excuse to be able to carry on collecting and play with your figures, right?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Now,
Strangely, it gives it an extra element, because when I used to collect and just have them posed still on a shelf, I never used to think, I need 5 of them to build an army of AIM agents that I can use in this shot. And you'll think more about props and things that you can use that are in scale, like desks and what have you. So it opens up a whole new realm.
So if people want to go and check it out in the meantime, they go to the Facebook group for A.C.B.A.
Just search Articulated Comic Book Art on Facebook.
Yeah,
you'll
or
see
Instagram as well now.
Yeah,
And we'll put that across the
A.C.B.A.
bottom. Yeah, put that across the bottom of the screen. Great, well that's all for another episode. Please tune in next week where we'll be talking about more comics and geeky goodness. For extra videos, you can check us out online. Search YouTube, Heroes for Sale, Liverpool.
Who shot ya?